Hello everyone and welcome to another episode in season 1 of the Mo Talk Show, where money matters. I'm Mo Shehu, and throughout the season we'll be helping young professionals and entrepreneurs make better money decisions. In this episode, we'll explore how to beat debt, set up and manage multiple streams of income, and how to manage black tax and, well, normal tax. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us online at the Mo Talk Show ZA across all social media platforms. The average South African is struggling to manage their finances. According to research by PayCurve, almost 80% of South Africans take out expensive unsecured loans to cover their monthly financial obligations, and household debt makes up over 70% of disposable income in many households in the country. In short, many people are taking on ever more debt to meet their obligations, and in some cases, merely to keep up with the Dlaminis. This, obviously, is unsustainable. For this episode, we've got two accomplished professionals in studio. The first is an auditor, entrepreneur, and personal finance coach who helps clients build sustainable income streams. Welcome to the show, Hlatshwayo.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Our second guest is a marketing and PR industry professional and founder and CEO of Endurance Africa, a company that provides marketing, advertising, PR, market research, and business development solutions to clients in South Africa. Thebe Montse, it's good to have you here.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Thank you both so much for joining us today. So, maybe this first one's for you. What's the worst financial mistake you've ever made?
Oh, fun. Airing out my laundry. Okay. So I must say, I always think my business ideas, have gone far and wide. And when I was in high school, I actually worked, and then I took all of that money and I started a tuck shop. But I started the tuck shop in a different school.
Okay.
And I tried to hire people there. And you can imagine how that happened. And that was like my first lesson in doing something yourself first before you start hiring people and being a big shot, big boss. So yeah.
So you wanted to hire people in another school. Why not in your school?
So I was doing it in my own school,
Okay.
but then I was like, you know what, let me expand. It's this whole concept of, you want to run a business, you immediately want to blow it up,
Expand.
big,
You want to grow too quickly.
You want to do it big, And so I took it to it's a high school down the road. So, my 16-year-old self thought, you know what, definitely going to work out. And I took it to the high school down the road, and I knew a few people there. One of my cousins was there as well. And I was like, you know what, this is definitely going to work. And needless to say, it didn't work. And, I literally lost all of my stock, all of my cash and everything. But like I said, it was a good lesson for me in knowing that I need to get my hands dirty first for quite a while. And then, franchise.
Who confiscated your goods? Was it your school or the
It wasn't even a confiscation. It was that was literally like a lesson in trust, in financial trust. It was the people that I was working with.
Oh, they chopped the money.
So it was like day 1, day 2, day 3, the money is short. Day 4, the money is not there. The stock is, short. And then day 5, everything's gone.
And because you were not there to provide any sort of oversight, there was no way for you to know whether or not they were being honest with you about that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's like, it was gradual, like slowly.
No, they ate your money slowly, so you wouldn't notice.
So that I wouldn't notice,
Yeah. No, that's good. Also, I'm pretty sure you broke a few codes of conduct and labor laws all over the place. Yeah. We shall not. We plead the fifth. So, Thebe, what income streams are you prioritizing at the moment?
The income streams that I'm prioritizing, one would be my business. So that is the number one income stream, because I think when you're building your business or you're building or your career, for a lot of people that is foundational to the other income streams that they will be building. So that is my priority right now. And then other income streams include property and then leveraging off of the assets that I already do have. So a lot of the content creation property that I have, and then also leveraging myself as a personal brand. So whether it's influencer work or speaking, whatever opportunities I'm afforded as a personal brand, those would be the income streams that I'm prioritizing right now.
Just jumping off of that question real quick, what role does a personal brand play in one's ability to actually create and manage even more income streams?
Okay, so I think it's very important to understand what a personal brand is, and what the pillars are that create your personal brand. So you, for example, Mo, could understand your personal brand to be made up of being a talk show host, specializing in money, but also to be a speaker and then an entrepreneur, and how you package all of that to the public. And so how you would leverage that to create income streams would be to speak as an MC at corporate functions or at public functions, to host shows maybe that are not necessarily your own show, but have those opportunities come to you, and then also working with brands that align with you as a money guru. So working with financial institutions, banks, who understand the value of having your voice and your support as an authority figure in your niche. So that could be another income stream. So basically what you do is you understand yourself as a personal brand, the different pillars that create your brand, and how you can leverage all of those to create those income streams.
And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that, the more you do within your different income streams, the more that you can then teach to people who want to learn that stuff. So say, for example, I wouldn't bill myself as a money expert, but maybe a public speaking expert. You can then offer executive media coaching to CEOs and other members of leadership cadres that want to learn how to speak better, how to liaise with the media better. You can teach people how to speak publicly, how to communicate better at the workplace. So I think training is a very important thing. And that actually leads me to my next question for you, Obi. So in your wealth coaching business, what's the most common goal that you've seen your clients reach for? And what's one mindset that you found is especially damaging to their likelihood of reaching those goals?
100%. Thank you for that question. I think the first thing is people always have this very basic, simple way of defining their goals. So they say, hey, I want to make a lot of money, or I want to make money quickly. And we always have to take a step back and sort of try and define, when do you want the money? How much money do you want? And when we get to down that path of actually defining how much money they want, you actually get to see that people's a lot of money is not a lot of money, firstly.
It's all relative.
It's all relative. And it's also, people think they want to be Jeff Bezos rich before they actually get to work for it. And they've got like regular man work ethic, but
they want billionaire money.
Exactly. So then we work on that to sort of like match your work ethic to your dreams.
To your ambition.
And exactly. And so that leads me to the mindset part, where people have a sort of limiting money mindset. People don't think that it's okay to say, hey, I love money, I want money. And it's not okay to, go for it and hustle, and they look at themselves before they even look at other people. They look at themselves as not being worthy of making a lot of money. And so it's fun to dream about, Jeff Bezos money, because somehow you also have this limiting belief that you don't deserve it. And so even when you do try and work hard, you're not putting in the hours, then people start with excuses, and, everything's an excuse. My kids, my career, because people have careers and they want, to start businesses on the side, but they don't have that work ethic. So that's always the challenge, or for me, it's an opportunity to change someone's mindset and to change someone's life, and sort of tell them, okay, you know what? This is how you're supposed to think about money. It's just a resource, It's like...
It's a tool.
It's just a tool, just a resource. It's like any other resource that you have. It's like knowledge. It's like social media. It's there, And what you need to do is align yourself to that energy, to that resource, and then put in the work to get there. And so, that's what we work through.
An excellent point you've made about mindset, and it got me thinking about a conversation I was having earlier today, really. So, Thebe, I'm going to pose this question to you. Say a creative freelancer walks up to you and they say, I don't know what to charge for my services. What would be your advice to them?
My advice to them would be, first, start those conversations amongst people within your community, because typically you can gauge from their where your rate should sort of be. But at the end of the day, value is a very personal thing.
It's subjective.
It's very subjective. It's a very personal thing. So while you want to understand what the industry going rate is, you also want to take into account things like my personal brand. So it doesn't mean anything for me to be creating content for this brand because it is me. And how do I attach value to that over and above what the industry going rate is? Is there a premium to the service that I am providing, as opposed to it being just any other content creator or creative, answering this particular brief? So I definitely say understanding what the industry going rate is, and then understanding what your value to whatever project brief you're answering, the space in the industry that you're contributing to would be, and understanding whether there is a premium that you can attach to that based on your expertise, your value, your eye, your creative instinct, your experience or qualification, just whatever it is that you can package and bring to the total project that would make it unique because it had your personal touch.
And I think a lot of it also sometimes just comes down to basic supply and demand. So, for example, if you are a beauty content creator, there are thousands of you within South Africa alone that you're going to be competing with every time you get a brief. But if you're looking at content around dental hygiene, for example, there's a far fewer number of people who are in that space. Content around auto maintenance, content around, say, for example, I don't know what example I can use, but plant maintenance, just randomly, right? It's not as if there are no companies in that arena that are willing to pay for the right brand ambassadors to promote their products. It's just that maybe nobody has decided to niche down in that area. And so it's wide open, it's ripe for the picking. And once you get in there, you can charge as much money as you want. Now, the next question is for you, Obi. So black tax is a very touchy subject in South Africa, especially for young professionals who are just starting out in their careers. They've gotten their first couple of paychecks. How should one approach this topic with friends and family, especially if you happen to be the one that made it out of the hood?
Yeah. So I am very passionate about teaching the next person. And I think we've gotten it wrong in working with black taxes and just giving money out. And so I believe that we should be having these conversations of what are you passionate about, Mo? What do you want to do to monetize that? And then I rather fund that, and I fund your education to get to the part of, being autonomous. I'm very big on creating income streams for those people that I'm responsible for, rather than just forking out money. And you can, like, a lot of us have settled into our salaries, into our incomes in such a way that you are able to just, pay money and just, sustain people. But in the long run, it's not sustainable for you because you become resentful. You end up not wanting to do it, and it's meant to be a beautiful thing. It's meant to be something where you are helping people back home,
and not an obligation.
Not an obligation. So it ends up being a touchy subject because you actually don't want to do it. You just feel like you have to do it because you're the only one who made it out the hood. And so I think it's a point of almost gentle education to show you that, hey, you know what, yes, I have made it out the hood, but you can do this particular thing. And I believe in skills transfer as well, because I can't give anyone my qualification. I can't just hand it to someone. But what I can do is I can actually teach people. This is, the skill of selling, the skill of public speaking, like you said. People have so many stories back home that would teach nations, but they don't want to tell them because why me? And going back to the whole mindset thing, like, who would listen to me? So it's that point of educating people, making sure that that you have a skill, you have a talent, you have a story to tell that you can then go and monetize, and almost teaching that mindset that even monetizing your story is something that is good because it is helping your household, it is helping you grow, it is helping you move to the next level. And so as advice to say, tackling the subject is tackle it from a point of being gentle, but also from a point of education. If you've learned something out there, I'm big on personal development. You know, I teach people that, you know, reading a book, a self-help book, we've even labeled them self-help, that reading those self-help books actually helps you. You know, it actually does elevate your mindset. It does teach you that you deserve so much. You are able to actually make your own living rather than waiting for this black tax, you know, and people start feeling entitled to black tax as well. And, you know, the point of education is to say, you know what, I get that we grew up together, or I get that you're my sister, or I get that you're my mom, you know, but I can help in this particular way to create this engine, this vehicle that you can now use to fund you, as opposed to me just
shelling out money.
Yeah.
Those are some fantastic points you've made, and it leads me to the next question I wanted to ask. Thebe, what type of money wounds have you had to overcome, if any? And what's your take on how people approach these things?
I would definitely just listen to what Ruby has been saying is about mindset. I think that has been the money wound that I would say I've needed to overcome. Just and I actually did an Insta live about this a few days ago, and I got into a little bit of trouble about it, because what I was saying was that I was having a conversation with a friend who just completely changed the paradigm that I have about wealth and wealth creation. And I realized in that conversation how many money wounds that I have. One of them that just stuck out to me, for example, was a point around saving for retirement or retirement planning, and how you know, our people have been habituated to think about retirement planning as having an RE or a provident fund, as opposed to thinking of retirement as having a plan for retirement, which is so much more broader than just a provident fund and an RE. It means, are you considering what you'll be doing in those days during retirement? Perhaps starting a business that you can run to keep yourself vital and active and will be a source of income for you during your retirement.
And fulfillment.
And fulfillment. Having, looking into securities, bonds, stocks, as, you know, that passive income. You know, at that point you're investing in blue chip stocks, so that, you know, at least it's safe and there's less volatility with those kind of things. And then, yes, of course, you're looking into having a provident fund or an RA. But you at that point, you're looking at your life more holistically. So that was something that was just such a paradigm shift for me, because what it showed me is that, especially earlier on in my career, when I realized, you know, not all of us come from, you know, families with entrepreneurs, and so a lot of us come from families who've been habituated to salaries, for example. And what you end up doing is you end up, you know, trusting and believing that, you know, saving because you're saving for a rainy day, or saving for saving's sake because that's what good people do, is a way to build wealth, right? That month on month you'll save, or, you know, that kind of thing. And in this conversation, my friend, you know, said to me, was like, but if you think about it, why would you save money towards an eventuality that would deplete
all that
the
money,
gains that you would have made financially? You know, you want to save because you have a goal. You want to start a business and get off, you know, the rat race, the so-called rat race. Now, I'm not saying everyone must go and be an entrepreneur, but I mean,
someone has to work for those entrepreneurs.
Someone is, and everyone has a dream. It might not be to start a business, but it might be to have a dream home. It might be to have a particular kind of asset. It might be, and so that was a money wound for me, that I just realized. I was like, oh my goodness, I've been saving for these eventualities that actually have happened, because I just felt like it was something that a good little boy does. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to thinking about it from the perspective of, I'm saving towards a dream. I've started a business. I'm going to need to fund certain things for the first 3 years, 3 months. How am I actually going to be able to do that? So that, and then also there were some interesting lessons that I picked up from that conversation around credit and overdraft and loans, and how those are tools that we should be leveraging in support of our dreams, as opposed to tools that we should be leveraging in support of like our lifestyles or our immediate gratification, instant gratification. And I think a lot of us are in the space where even in the media, you know, financial institutions have in the past, and I think even now, I mean, you look at the way that you know, a financial institution like FNB, for example, has created the black card. You know, you can imagine the insight that went into them, you know, changing the entire range of their cards to black cards, you know, and you know, and the emotion that plays on of the consumers, you know, so in the past, financial institutions, I just believe, have done a fantastic job at making us believe that finance, credit, all of that is how we should measure our self-worth, and how we should benchmark ourselves against each other, as opposed to seeing finance and money and living in a world of facts around money that, you know, empowers us to use money to achieve our goals and our dreams, and start businesses, buy dream homes, work towards those. So I think, you know, that, and I hope this demystifies the conversation that I was having on my Instagram.
Vindication.
I think it definitely does. And we've got an episode with Thabang Radingwana on investing. So check out one of our other episodes in season 1 of the Mo Talk Show. So speaking about tax from a different angle, as someone who works in the auditing and offers wealth coaching services, how can a diligent saver or entrepreneur maximize their tax savings?
Firstly, when in doubt, just pay SARS. You'll get a refund later.
Okay.
I think the one thing people always try and do is maximize their tax savings. I think there are ways to sort of structure your tax so that you are paying slightly less taxes.
We want those ways.
But it shouldn't be your sole focus. I think stop looking at tax as someone trying to steal your money. You know, the taxes actually go somewhere. And so I think people must let's start there. Tax is a good thing. Tax is a good thing.
I don't think people disagree that tax is a good thing. I think their issue is how their tax money is being spent.
Yeah. That's a whole nother episode, a whole season, Mo. It's a whole season by itself. I think just in the first instance, I think people just need to get to grips with that. And I've seen quite a lot of people. It's a goal to try and like maximize the tax savings. You know, yes, there are simple ways, like depending on your tax bracket, to either do your personal operations through a company, or fine with your own self. And it's never something that you can blanket, right? So I can sit here and say to people, register a company, do your public speaking through a company, and provide those services. But then what if your tax bracket is actually below the 29% company tax, right? So then it really doesn't matter. So I think people do need to, get to
understand
that, but more so, again, back to mindset, more so look at taxes like salaries or anything else that you need to pay to run a business, rather than, the tax man who's trying to scam you. How they use the taxes is a whole different story. Right. But
that is the story that is making people itch.
No, but okay, so here's another, just like a tangent, very close tangent. I think people in general, when we are running our businesses, growing in our careers, paying taxes, we're so focused on what the other person is getting rather than what you need to do and what you're getting. I work in an industry or my business is run in an industry where it's people-centered, right? You have to help the other person so that everybody benefits. But there are people who would rather not get paid. They would rather get paid zero, because if I get paid, then the other person gets paid as well, And so it's that mindset of...
Really?
Yes. So it's that mindset of, because XXX in whatever party is going to take your taxes and go buy a Bentley, now I'm going to try and get out of the taxes, But if you focus on your own business growing your business and then saying, okay, my business is big enough now, right? So my personal coaching, my life coaching business, I do it through a company because it just makes sense for me.
The
right?
math is mathing.
The math is mathing, yeah. So I need to do that. That's my next step. And I've done that, right? I ring fence my funds, and that's how my business works, right? I don't go and say, oh, but after this 29%, did you see that minister's driving a Benz? Like,
but you also want the Benz.
No, but okay, fine. But where's your work ethic? Put it there. Increase your revenue.
Ethic is there.
Increase your revenue, and then go buy your Bentley. So I think that's the main thing. Like, people need to. The other issue, right? And this is a real life issue. There's a lot of people right now who aren't thinking, and going back to the point about a lot of money, you aren't thinking far enough in the future. So you are busy now fuddling around with your taxes. Then 5 years down the line, you've blown up, right? You are now public speaking next to Tony Robbins, right? You on his 5-day sessions, and you know that's the thing for you. You come back and SARS goes, you owe me taxes from 5 years ago. Plus all the penalties, plus all the interest, and then you wake up one morning and you've got a 200 million tax debt, and you don't know where it came from. And that's the reality of how these overnight tax bills happen. So moral of the story is, just pay your taxes. And yes, you do need to actually see a professional who's going to say, okay, this is your personal case. This is how we need to structure your taxes. Okay, this is how you need to go and do, you know, your tax-free savings. I really love your point about, you know, just saving for no reason. Like, it's a whole topic on itself, right? But like, you know, to do things like tax-free savings, to do things like buying assets through trusts. Yes, okay, trusts will pay higher taxes, but there's other benefits there. So for yourself, you need to go see that professional and then structure that. As a basic point, I guess, for everybody who pays taxes below or above 29%, register a company and do all your operations through there.
Run all your expenses through there.
100%.
If you've gotten any value at all from this conversation about how to create and manage multiple streams of income, do let us know on social media. We are at the Mo Talk Show ZA on all platforms. Now, before I let the both of you go, I do have one final question for you. Thebe, I'll start with you. What financial advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Oh, take it easy, dude. Oh my gosh.
Take it easy.
So I think at 20 years old, I was very fortunate in that I had a job. I had influencer jobs coming in as well. I had a business, and so I had, you know, money coming in from my business. So I was earning like a salary. I was getting like a minimum of 2 invoices a month, maybe clearing. So I was cash flow positive.
You were doing all right for yourself.
I was doing all right for a 20-year-old. But as quickly as it was coming in, is as quickly as it was going out. And so for me, I'd say to my 20-year-old self, great thinking on the multiple streams of income. Just take it easy.
On the spending of that money.
Part of it. Like, you can calm down. So, this is great, but calm down.
So financial discipline, essentially. Okay. And then what about you?
I think I would say become Thebe.
Become Thebe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my 20-year-old self, I was so zoned into school, and so I wasn't really open to seeing other streams of income, and as well as just like exploring what I can actually do. So I had this really fixed mindset of like, this is what I can do, and this is what I'm gonna do. You know, I'm studying now, I'm gonna get this job, and I used to intern quite a lot, but it was all just like tunneled in this one thing. So I think
was that the accounting and auditing?
Accounting and auditing, yeah. So it's just like try things out. You know, if you have to go babysit, you know, do that, you know, but just multiple streams of income. And I did have passions. I was just, you know, doing things for free, you know, speaking for free, advice for free, coaching for free. But just to tell myself, like, you know, just monetize it, do multiple streams of income, explore other things. A salary is never really enough.
Assured either.
It's never assured. It's never enough. It's not really a wealth building tool. So that's what I tell my 20-year-old self.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you in studio.
Thank you for having us, Mo.
Lovely. And thank you for watching another episode of season 1 of the Mo Talk Show. If you enjoyed this, do check us out and follow and connect with us on social media at the Mo Talk Show ZA. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host for this season. My name is Mo Shehu, and it's goodbye for now. Catch you next time.